Hey everybody, Cole and Aaron here. Aaron, most weeks you know that you and I play very similar roles from week to week on the show where I get to be the debonair, handsome feller. Okay, that's not true. I play the bumbling goofball who doesn't know much about his home, which is kind of accurate. And you get to play the professional who's been in the industry for multiple decades and knows a lot about the topics that we're discussing.
Correct.
Would you say that's correct? Okay.
Yeah.
However, when was the last time that you sold a house? Not like your own house or bought a house, but like when were you the one in charge of the transaction?
Can't say that I've ever done that.
With that said, I thought it would be wise. I can't remember who had the idea, if it was you or me or somebody else. It doesn't really matter at this point. To go outside of the two of us or even anybody in the Pro Exteriors family and have a discussion about real estate in hopes that it helps out our customers to make wise decisions in the future. So today I get to introduce our audience to Danielle Waldera. She's a realtor in Central Maryland. Fun fact, again, I've said before, if you add the word fun in front of anything, it makes it more exciting than just saying fact.
Gotcha.
Back in 2010, Dawn and I were about to have our first child. I was working for Bank of America in their credit card department. I was just an associate. I met Danielle because though we're the same age, she was a supervisor on the floor where I worked.
Gotcha.
And we were never very close. But after I left Bank of America, Dawn and I moved to Bel Air and found out that Danielle lived like one street over. And so we would run into each other randomly at places.
Oh, that's funny.
So all these years later, Danielle has a huge social media presence. I mean, she's on all the things.
All the things.
So inevitably she pops up on my news feed, and we probably haven't talked in 12 years or something. But it was fun to catch up with her. I think our audience will enjoy hearing from her. So without further ado, let's meet Danielle Waldera. This is the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Do you have questions about an upcoming exterior contracting project? We've got answers. Welcome to the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Danielle, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad that you are here. Audience, you'll get a chance to get to know her a little bit more as we have a conversation. But Danielle is, she's a bunch of things. Although she would probably say that she can't be defined or put into a box. I don't know. I don't want to speak for her, but I do know that she is a mama. She is a wife. She's a published author of the book Do the Thing, which I know you can get on Amazon. She is, maybe most importantly, my former neighbor and coworker. She's also a realtor. Oh my gosh, a realtor. She is a real estate agent in my home state of Maryland. She serves Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Cecil, Frederick, Harford counties, and also Baltimore City. Danielle, for your benefit, but also for the benefit of our audience, I want to share just real briefly what the purpose of this show is, and then we will jump in to the reason that I asked if you would come on. We know that purchasing a home, renovating a home, are some of the most stressful things that we will experience. That sounds a little bit dramatic, but our home is typically our number one financial investment. And we realize that things surrounding our home can be stressful. So each week we try to tackle a question that we have been asked in our going on 20 years of business about home remodeling, home buying, anything around the home. And we have a conversation about that question. We try to answer it in hopes that we all leave feeling a little bit more educated and a little bit more at ease than when we started together. So this week is no different. This week, we want to focus on identifying the home improvement projects that return the most bang for your buck, really when you are looking to sell your house. So maybe this isn't going to be your forever home. You feel like there's a relocation for a job, or maybe you have just outgrown where you are. we want to talk about the things that make the most sense. So, Danielle, you might not know this, but back in 2020, I don't know if you remember what was going on in 2020 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My family decided that we were going to move from Bel Air, Maryland to Lincoln, Delaware on the coast. And uh, obviously there was all sorts of hurdles that we had to jump through to get our home ready in a time where it was difficult to have professionals come in and look at things. Getting inspections done was tricky. Even just asking friends and family to come over to help us pack was something that we had to like plan and mask up. And we really leaned on our realtor to figure out what we needed to do to give us the best chance to sell our home so that we could move our family a couple hours away. I remember toilet paper was at a premium then, so we actually got a case of toilet paper and we put it in our dining room and said free to the buyer of our house. And I think personally that's what sold our home. Uh, I don't really believe that's true. However, thankfully we're past that time. So I'm wondering if we could talk through just some of the biggest projects that we all think about doing. And you, as the expert, I want you to share what you've seen work and what has not worked. So let's just jump in. We're going to jump right into the heart of the home. We're going to talk about the kitchen. What have you seen home buyers do, or homeowners rather, do that has, let's start on the positive side. What are some things that home buyers can do to get their house ready with regards to the kitchen?
Every buyer is different, but I can tell you every single buyer wants to see a kitchen specifically that looks clean.
Okay.
So cleanliness, and even if it is clean, if it doesn't appear to be clean because it's just, you've got grout lines that just you can't get clean anymore, or your stove is so caked that you cannot clean it anymore. If it just needs to appear to be clean. So for remodeling purposes, a lot of times what that means is having like a nice clean backsplash, right? Something where when you're cooking, it's not splattering up onto the wall and you can't clean it. And then you have someone walking through your house and you have stains on your wall. Things like cleanliness and scent are very big to a buyer, bigger than anyone puts any stock in. So in your kitchen, when you are having a showing, if you are able to pop some cookies in the oven so that they're baking while you're gone, if you feel like that's safe. If you don't feel like that's safe, put like a warmer in your kitchen that you can warm food type scents, like sweet scents, like cookies and breads and seasonal scents, whatever season it is. But for remodeling purposes, I think cleanliness is most important. So like backsplash, clean countertops. I have had a decent return on countertops specifically. So I recently had a seller who had a crafting addiction, and she would craft on her laminate countertops. So I went in to see her house and there was like blobs of like epoxy because she was working with epoxy on her countertops. And she was like, I can't get it off. And I was like, that's a problem. So we chose to just do a really inexpensive, granted it's so inexpensive these days. It really is. It's depending on the scale of your house, right? So if you have an upscale house, you're going to want to make more upscale decisions. But if your house is of the normal range, which is in this area like 350 to 400,000, just plop some low grade granite in there. It will cost you, depending on how much countertops you have, $3,000. And it'll really update your space, make it feel clean, make it feel bright. Those sorts of things can really increase your value because it's just making your space feel clean.
Yeah. Okay. I can remember walking through homes. We just moved into our house back in June, so this is really fresh in my mind. Typically, you walk around with your realtor and you end up hanging out in the kitchen to discuss your thoughts and feelings. And so if you're yeah, if you're sitting down at a table that is old or dingy, I could totally see that making sense. We all are guilty of becoming blind, both nose blind and like sight blind to our own stuff. I'm guessing it's a huge value to have someone like yourself who does this every single day just come in and tell it like it is.
Well, you said you did the right thing. You said you really leaned heavily on your professional, and that's what we're here for. We do this day in and day out. I mean, I go through and 40 transactions a year, right? So that's 40 different inspections. That's been thousands of inspections and houses, along my 7.5 year career. And if you listen to me, I promise you, you'll get the return on your investment. And I know what these buyers are looking for. And I know buyers in particular are a little finicky. And a lot of them don't want to do the work. They would rather pay a premium to have the work done than get a cheaper house and put the sweat equity in.
Yeah.
I would say 85% of my buyers, the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, we're okay with some work. We're okay with some work." I'm like, "Are you sure?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." So I go to take them to see a few houses that just need, some love, right? Some cosmetics, some paint, some flooring, some lighting, right? Things that you could really YouTube and do yourself if you were handy. And almost 100% of the time, they're like, we thought we wanted a fixer-upper. We don't. We'll pay the money. We want the house to be finished. Almost every time.
Yeah. And you're in an area where there's a lot of military that move in and are going to be stationed there. They know it's temporary. They know this might not be their forever home. It's also a transient area, being close to Baltimore and DC and Philly. Same with where we're located in Southern Delaware. The amount of people, like if you walk up to somebody in a grocery store and say, "Hey, where are you from?" It's like 90% of the people are saying, "Oh, we're from New Jersey or Philadelphia." It's an area where people are moving into. And so I think I brought that up just because I was agreeing with you that the last thing you want to do is be moving from another state and then spend all your time in this house doing work as opposed to getting out and exploring your new environment, meeting new people. Okay, so what are some of the things that you've seen where people have just gone over the top in the kitchen? And if it was going to be their forever home, maybe that would make sense to them, but it just doesn't make sense from a buying and selling perspective.
I think when people just get really personal with their choices, you don't have to, your house doesn't have to look boring and bland for it to appeal to a buyer. You can make it personal. You just can't go over personal and make decisions that cost you so much money that you went over personal with. For instance, I met with a seller on a listing appointment recently that was selling a very high end home. And she was giving me the name brands of the chandeliers and things that they had put in. And these were, the most gorgeous, stunning chandeliers I have ever seen. But they're not going to one-to-one return that. I don't even want to call it an investment because it wasn't an investment. They're not going to one-to-one return on your dollar, right? They're beautiful. They will help you sell your house. Anyone will come in and be like, "Wow, that is stunning," but I'm not going to pay you extra for it.
Right.
Because it could have been a different light fixture, still beautiful, maybe not stunning, but pretty and done the same job. And you probably would have, not niched down your buyer pool anymore. Okay. So you don't have to go boring. I just don't go overboard on things that you don't have to spend so much money on, like custom things.
Okay. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Aaron, if he was here, would tell you that I'm wrong a lot. I get to play the bumbling, like goofball, and he gets to play the professional each week. And here, he's not here this week, and I, for some reason, still get to play the guy who doesn't know much. After the kitchen, would you say the bathrooms are the next area that people tend to, or maybe ought to spend money on?
Yeah, so definitely kitchen's number one, bathrooms number two, curb appeal number three. Okay. And then, there are some subsidiary things that come after that. And it is really all dependent on what your capabilities are, right? So if you are capable to do these upgrades fantastic. If you're not, we price accordingly.
Mhm.
So you don't have to feel like if you don't have the money to put all of this, into your house, that you can't sell it. You can. You just may sell it for more. You may sell it easier. You may sell it faster if you're capable of doing some of these upgrades.
Okay.
The kitchen is the heart of the home. It always has been. It always will be. It is where you stop on your tours when you're touring the house. It's where your family is, all the time. It's where your guests come when you don't want them to be there. So like when you're ready for everyone to go home, they're still like hanging out in your kitchen pouring wine, and you're like,
Yep.
get out of here. So, the kitchen is the heart. The bathrooms are still places where we spend a lot of time, especially as a woman. I have to do my hair, my makeup. There's a process that happens in the bathroom every day. And it's important to me, in order to come out of that bathroom looking and feeling like a human, that I have space to do that. So I need double vanities. It's a lot of, some people are tub people, some people are shower people. That's the common question I get. A lot of shower people think that they should remove every tub from their house because they hate them, right? And they're like, ew, tubs. And they just want all showers. And I'm like, you should keep just one tub in your whole house for resale value, because little babies can't take showers, and families with young ones. And even sometimes elderly people are more comfortable, in a tub where they can like sit and stay for a minute.
Yeah.
So bathrooms are definitely secondary to kitchens, but I do say don't go overboard. It just has to look clean, and you can get a level of clean without spending $20,000 in your bathroom. You can get a nice updated vanity, individual, framed mirror, decent lighting. You can even put in one of those systems that I'm sure you guys do, which isn't like tile on the wall, but it's like a one-piece shower tub.
Yeah. Yep.
Like a fitter type thing. Those are they're fine. You do not need to go overboard. It just needs to look clean. And again, depending on the scale of your house, right? So if you have a more upscale house, you may want to make different decisions. But it just, instead of like a blue bathroom, which I currently have in my house, I have a blue tub and blue. I should have shown you a picture. I have a blue tile that's like also veined in blue, and it has blue butterflies on it. I didn't do this. It was here when I bought it. It's on the list. It's on the list of renovations.
Just say, was your house built in the mid-60s?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. My mom loves it. She's like, you should keep this blue bathroom. I'm like, just because you were born in the 60s doesn't mean everyone needs to suffer through that.
It'll probably come around again if you wait
the
long enough.
The tile is veined. Like, it is veined in blue. It's not coming back.
Have you seen people go overboard in bathrooms, or is it basically the same concept as the kitchen?
Yeah, things that you typically won't see a lot of bang for your buck back on are things like heated subfloors and stuff like that. So when you've spent the money to do things that are really nice, but people can't even see them with their eyes, nor can they fathom how they work, because they're not super common around here. So when you put those sorts of things in, that's a really nice feature for you. And I hope that you enjoyed it while you had it and it made your life cozy and comfortable. But a buyer is not necessarily going to pay more for that product. And it's also because it's a little bit foreign to a buyer. Like, they're not used to it. Not most houses don't have heated flooring. So it is a benefit, but some buyers it almost might scare them a little bit. Like, do I have to maintain this? What happens if it breaks? I don't know. Do I have to go through my flooring to get to it? Like, it just might freak some people out because they're not used to it. And people are all creatures of habit. And if you present something to them that they have not encountered before, sometimes they're just like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we're going to take a walk outside, so to speak. You mentioned curb appeal. What do you recommend? I mean, there's so much stuff. There's hardscape, landscape, there's the actual siding and windows and roof. When you pull up to a client's house, what are the first things that you're looking at?
The roof is by far the first thing.
Okay.
So it's the first thing that I look at as a listing agent. It's the first thing that buyers look at. It's the first thing that when I take my buyers out, I'm walking across the street so that I can get the fullest picture, because I'm short. So I have to like go far to So I'm like walking as far as I can to get the fullest picture of the roof that I can. Sometimes upstairs in the bedrooms, depending on the style of the house, you can like look down and see parts of the roof and see the condition. But roof condition is huge, and it's huge because it's just such an expensive upgrade. And again, it's an upgrade that you don't really see any return for, unfortunately. So it's just like a maintenance item of your house that you are expected to keep up to date and maintain. And if you don't maintain it, it's a huge expense, especially with the costs these days of plywood and labor and the materials. A roof that maybe cost $3,000 a couple of years ago now might cost you $7,000 or $8,000. So buyers really don't want that expense. If your roof is old, looks old, you can see clear like staining, granule loss. Like it's not hard to see. You can go back and tell that your roof is old. Another reason why roofs are huge is because of a lot of insurance issues we're having lately. So insurance costs have gone through the roof, but insurance companies as a whole have also gotten very strict and very stringent on who they are choosing to insure. So a lot of insurance companies, even the big guys, are either not writing new policies at all because of the losses that they're taking, or they're saying your roof has to be under 10 or under 15 years of age for us to give you a policy. And if it's not, you're forced to replace it. And that's a lot of insurance companies. And a 15-year-old roof is not an old roof.
No, it's
so
not.
You just want to make sure that you're getting like paperwork on it if they have paperwork, that your realtor knows these rules, because if they don't and your realtor's like, oh, it's only 20 years old, you still have 10 more years left, you're so good, but they don't tell you that you're going to have trouble getting insurance, it's a huge problem.
Wow. Yeah. Listener, watcher, episode 1 of this show, we started with how much is my new roof going to cost? And we started with that because it is such it's a large expense. It's a necessary thing. It's the thing that really protects your family and your home from the elements. We do touch on insurance claims, and I would say, Danielle, you might have some different suggestions, but we handle insurance claims pretty often, and we go to bat for our customers. So whether you're in our service area or in Danielle's service area, if you're watching across the country, speak to a licensed roofer and see, if you're having a difficult time with an existing claim, go talk to a professional. Or if your roof is nearing the end of its life, don't wait on it. You don't want to wait till a named storm comes up the coast and you end up with all sorts of problems.
Yeah. The worst time to tackle a roof is when you have an active leak.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. What is the second thing when you pull up that you're drawn to?
General curb appeal. So that's just landscaping, hardscaping, the mailbox. Can I see your house number from the street? Is it legible? Is it clean? Is your mulch looking good? Are there weeds everywhere? Is there a clear path to your front door? Or do I have to like hurdle through, overgrown bushes and gravel that's spilled over and like a cat? So like, what do I have to do to get to your door? And can I see it from the street? And curb appeal is huge also because buyers don't want to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
So the more maintenance free it is, the better. So they're not looking for a ton of landscaping, but they do want the landscaping that's there to be simple and easy to maintain, and just something that they might have to like mulch and trim, every year. But they're not looking for like a ton of upkeep, and things that keep upkeep down are usually like hardscaping keeps upkeep down. Hardscaping is very expensive, but if it was in your budget, if you have enjoyed it for yourself for many years, that's something that can keep landscaping costs down, and it makes your yard look really nice, really high end, because it's expensive.
Yeah. And, the way that we buy homes these days, we're looking at thumbnails on our phone, and typically the front of the house is the first thing that you see as you're scrolling through. I know some friends, some family members that utilize their side doors or their back doors. Like friends and family all know you never go to the front door. Right. If that's the case for somebody watching this, do you typically recommend that their front door is accessible, at least through the selling process?
I'm going to send the buyer through the front door every time.
Okay.
Unless there's a valid reason not to. So I think like once in the last year, I sent the buyers through the side door, which led into the kitchen. But the whole house was completely renovated. So like the kitchen was gorgeous. It was really beautiful. It was in a time recently where we were in like a 2-week, when the South was having all of those storms, Maryland, the only thing we got was a lot of rain, but it was like a 2-week period of rain. So they had just replaced all their carpeting in their living room, which is where the front door led you. And I was like, I don't want people coming in and trampling all over your brand new carpet in 2 weeks of rain. I will send them through the kitchen, which is still beautiful, very nicely renovated. Anyone would be, it would be a joy to go through the kitchen. And then by the time they walk around to get to the living area, if they haven't removed their shoes, most of the damage was on your kitchen floors, which we can just swipe up.
Right. Yeah, at least that is very easily explained. It's not like we've got a sofa placed in front of the front door and you physically can't open it.
I mean, some people do that, but
Yeah.
so staging is part of my package. So sometimes staging means we're moving around the furniture that you have. Sometimes staging means your house is vacant and I completely and fully stage it for you as part of my package.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just moving around the furniture that you have and kind of purging and organizing and making clear pathways, making the spaces look less cluttered, that's something I'll help you do regardless.
All right, I want to start landing this plane. We now live like 20 minutes from the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky airport, so all of my analogies are airplane related. You're based in the Mid-Atlantic. Over the last year or so, I know market trends change pretty frequently, especially around election times, but anything that you've seen on the whole as far as trends in home selling and what buyers are looking for, just in general, whether it be style or anything?
I think buyers right now are getting a little bit away from the cold, stark gray era.
Okay.
And getting more into a warm, homey feel era. And it's really important that your realtor understands what that looks like and what that means, because this is the sale of your biggest investment. So in previous years, a lot of investors and flippers would paint all their walls gray. Then they would use that like gray LVP flooring,
Yep.
whiter gray cabinets in the kitchen, whiter gray quartz or granite in the kitchen. And you would walk through and that feels cold. It doesn't feel like somewhere you would want to put your fuzzy slippers on and wrap yourself in a blankie and watch football. Like it looks like a place that's stark and almost like a dentist office. So buyers now they spend more time at home. They work from home. They're schooling their kids from home. They're working out at home. Home means a lot of different things to people now. So it needs to feel like home, and home to a buyer now feels very warm. So warmer tones. So instead of grays and whites, we're seeing more like tans and beiges, even greens are coming in, like natural colors, warm colors, having your furniture have texture. So, like corduroys and velvets and plush, things that chenille, like things that people can feel and they feel comfortable and warm there.
Yeah.
So just making your house feel welcoming and more like a home and less like a very stark, flipped environment.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. My final question to you is, what is the one thing, if you could only tell a buyer or a seller, just one thing that would make your life as a real estate professional a little bit easier, what is that one thing that you would tell them?
I tell my clients that to their best financial abilities to do what my suggestions are. Hands down, my biggest suggestion for a seller is to paint if they can afford to paint and not do it by themselves, because that is a disaster, epic disaster every single time. Every time someone's like, I can do that myself. I'm like, don't do that. It's going to be a mess. You're going to get the wrong sheens. It's going to look weird. It's going to look splashy. Don't do it. If you can hire a professional to paint the whole house, ceilings, trim, walls, everything. It will make your house look and feel clean. And we have talked about cleanliness, and that is at the top of every buyer's list. Even if it's not updated, it's from the 60s, you have your blue bathroom. If it feels clean and your walls are a big part of that feeling clean, it's impossible to magic eraser down every scratch, especially you've got kids and dogs and animals running through your house. We all know that they get beat up. Your walls get beat up over time. It's normal, but it makes your house feel unclean to a buyer. So if there's one thing that you could afford, paint your walls, and also listen to me. I am here for you. I am not against you. Trust me. I want you to get the most money that you can. I want you to move on and be happy. I want you to get on to your next adventure in life. I want all of these things for you just as much, if not more than you do, because I get really excited about helping my people. So I want you to win in this. Nothing I tell you to do is for your detriment. Trust me.
That is great. Great advice. Let's end here. Danielle, I want people in the area that you serve to be able to find you. I know that you're active on social media. I know that you help other real estate professionals learn how to utilize social media more. Where can people find you?
Social media is the first and best place to find me. So the platforms I'm most prevalent on are TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I just don't use it that much as a platform. There are not many Walderas in the world. I can guarantee you, if you look up Danielle Waldera, you will find me.
Okay. All right, folks, if you are in the Hartford, Baltimore, Cecil, Frederick, Baltimore City, you heard me read them off. Danielle's links will be in the show notes, so you can go there or just search her name, Danielle Waldera. Danielle, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me today. I'm so grateful for your expertise and you being willing to share them with all of us.
No problem. Anytime. I'm here if you need me.
Thank you. I'm so thankful for Danielle Waldera's time today. That's all we have for this episode on the You Ask the Pros Answer. Would you please help us get the word out about the show? The simplest way is on whichever platform you are watching or listening to this, would you please give us a review, like it, share it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way you never miss an upload. We release a new episode every Friday. Also, before we go, we want to hear from you. This show does not exist without your questions. If you have a question about home remodeling, would you send it to info@askproexteriors.com, and then in the subject line, simply put, You Ask. If you are facing an upcoming home project, we hope this episode has empowered you to tackle it with confidence. Remember, knowledge is power, and a little bit of research can go a long way. Until next time, happy homeowning. The You Ask the Pros Answer podcast is produced in-house by the Pro Exteriors team. Pro Exteriors is the exterior contracting division of Empire Construction Group, LLC. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. For more answers to your questions, please subscribe to this channel and podcast so you'll never miss an episode. Do you have an upcoming home remodeling project? Find more answers to your questions at askproexteriors.com.